Welcome back to my channel. I am K to the K to the K to the but welcome back to K Reaction. Today I'm reacting to 20 terrifying shark encounter caught and tape. So without further ado, let's get into this video.
That sharks are misunderstood because of that movie, we have a whole bunch of videos that suggest maybe not.
Oh! Holy crap!
Maybe we should be afraid, very afraid. From a kayaker's close call to a swimmer's unexpected meeting, we're counting down 20 terrifying shark encounters caught on tape. Number 20. Great White versus Kayaker. If you ask shark experts, Jaws is not an accurate reflection of who the great white truly is. They're not man-eaters or violent killers, and that may be the case, but they're also no friend of the kayaker. If this video is to be believed, the video was captured at Monterey Bay in California, and it shows Brian Correar, a certified diver of 18 years, enjoying some time fishing on the water. Well, when he happens to catch something good, he gets his camera on, but then he notices that the fish is bringing something else with it. Yep, a great white, and Brian can't do anything about it. Eventually, the shark rams into the kayak, flipping it right over. When David realized what had happened, he was staring at the shark, which had his kayak in its jaws. Brian quickly got back onto the kayak, but you can see how scared and full of adrenaline he is. I mean, the guy basically survived a shark attack. Sure, he wasn't bitten or anything, but come on, if your boat or kayak happened to be rammed by a shark, you'd describe it as an attack too, right? I know I would.
Before we go on, like this video, smash the subscribe button, and click the notification bell right now, or this centipede will crawl on your face when you're sleeping.
It's time for the rare topic. Have you ever feared for your life? Have you ever imagined being eaten alive by a killer? This is the experience that one man claims to have witnessed in this shocking tale. If you're scared of sharks, don't watch this. Swimming in a shallow cove near their fishing boat off the coast of Maine, these two guys were attacked by what was described as a giant and vicious shark. The man's friend was bitten, eventually losing his leg, but they escaped the hungry predator. Imagine what it would feel like to have been that close to being eaten alive by the world's most terrifying shark. What do you think? Would you have made it out alive? As always, comment down below with the hashtag #RareTopic and let us know your opinion about what we just showed on screen. Let's move on to the next one. Number 19. The juvenile great white. Drones have truly opened up a whole new way to look at the world and appreciate our environment. In the case of sharks, we're now able to see sharks in their natural habitat without having to get up close and personal. For anybody who isn't interested in potentially losing limbs, that's a game changer. While monitoring some shark activity, this person happened to spot a man swimming behind the breakers. The man in question seems to be having a great time, not paying too much attention to the world around him. Then suddenly he realizes there's a juvenile great white shark not too far from him. The guy does some very good things. He doesn't panic, he maintains eye contact, but he also makes some pretty common mistakes. For one, he swims towards the shark. Now, why would anybody think about doing this? Miraculously, the guy managed to get out of the situation, although this could easily have gone very, very wrong. Had the guy been wildly splashing around, this shark would have gotten curious and ventured closer to take a peek, and that could easily have led to some serious trouble. Always remember, swimmers, you share the ocean with sharks. Be wary. Number 18. Inflatable boat. Now here's a real nightmare. It's bad enough to have your boat attacked by a shark, but if that boat happens to be inflatable, well, now you're truly looking at a horror story you will never be able to forget. A group of German tourists were enjoying the water off the coast of Mossel Bay in South Africa when they found themselves the unfortunate target of what seems to be an angry shark. The tourists were looking for seals when the shark turned up out of the blue and began trying to chew on the outer inflatable edges of their boat. According to the experts who had arranged the tour, the shark likely mistook the boat for a dead whale and set out to get itself a free meal. Instead, this 12-foot female just terrified a group of German tourists. But hey, it's an experience you'll never forget, and isn't that what tourists want? Apparently, the damage to the side of the vessel was so intense that it caused part of the inflatables to deflate. Of course, it didn't deflate enough to cause them any serious concern, but you know, when you've just been terrorized by a random shark, everything is concerning, you know. Number 17. 9-foot bull shark. For those of you lucky enough to have a pool in your backyard, I'm sure the idea of there being a shark inside it has crossed your mind. If it's never actually been something you've thought about, however, well, let me plant that little nightmare right inside your head. You're welcome. This footage comes from Bonita Springs, Florida, and seems to show what is a pretty giant bull shark floating around inside a resident's backyard. Now, this wasn't a pool per se, it was actually a backyard dock, but the idea is pretty much the same thing. You probably wouldn't want to go swimming in it anytime soon. The shark was estimated to be around 9 feet long, making for a pretty terrifying sight first thing in the morning, I'm sure. Given that Bonita Springs is a pretty tiny community, the presence of such a huge shark did not bring much comfort to local residents. But if you're someone that really likes sharks or is just intrigued by these formidable animals, then the ability to sit at your balcony and look out at the local shark is pretty cool, actually. It's kinda like having your own shark-infested moat. Number 16. Kayaker flipped. And now we've come to another video of a kayaker getting the shock of his life. This time it's Captain Ben Chansey, whose encounter with the Great White was either more terrifying or at least much closer call, depending on your point of view. Captain Ben operates a fishing charter company and was enjoying a day out on the water when the whole thing happened. He had happened to hook a giant Goliath grouper and was beginning to reel him in when suddenly everything went wrong. The grouper managed to break free from his line, but then Ben caught something even bigger. Little did he know it was a bull shark. As he tried to reel the shark in, the big beast got more and more agitated, eventually thrashing around and headbutting the kayak. Well, that headbutt was so strong that Ben's kayak capsized. Stranded in the water with a shark, Ben did the only thing that came to his mind. He swam for his life, just managing to make it back onto the much bigger fishing vessel. You can only imagine how hard his heart was beating after an encounter like that, and yet the experience didn't traumatize him too much. He just climbed right back in and even laughed at the sight of the bull shark sniffing around his kayak. Total lunatic. Number 15. Kids and a great white. So we've already covered just how great drones can be at tracking sharks, and now we're going to follow that up with an even more nail-biting bit of footage. While monitoring the sharks out in the ocean, this guy was on the edge of his seat. The guy claims this footage is the closest great white encounter featuring kids that he's ever recorded. The footage comes from a Malibu beach, and it shows kids paddling around in deep, murky waters. They are, of course, unaware that a giant great white is lurking in the water right beneath them. The kids, of course, are so unaware of what's going on that they don't pay any attention, and that's probably for the best, as it turns out the great white has no real interest in the kids at all. It's just curiously sniffing around to see what's happening before heading off on its way. If the kids knew what was going on, they would likely have panicked, and in that case, things may have truly gotten quite bad. But the guy who caught the footage admitted later that he felt a tremendous amount of anxiety. Honestly, that's more than understandable. One wrong move and you're looking at a very bad situation. Number 14. Live shark fight. Can there be anything more stressful than taking part in a live televised surfing contest? Yes. Having to fight a shark while taking part in the said contest is definitely up there in terms of intense, stressful experiences. At least in my opinion. This world champion Australian surfer was taking part in a televised South African competition. While waiting for his turn, a shark struck from behind, knocking him into the water. As you can see, the whole ordeal is pretty frantic and terrifying. The next time the guy is seen, he's frantical trying to swim to safety, but it seems there's no luck. Eventually, rescuers arrive to help the guy out, pulling him from the water and to safety. So what happened during the time we couldn't see him? According to the surfer himself, he just started punching the shark out of fear. The guy, however, escaped unharmed, though his mother was left traumatized by the whole incident. The only remnants of the event were some minor bite marks in the board and a bite on the leg wrap, but otherwise the guy was just psyched to have actually escaped a shark attack and lived to tell the tale. Pretty impressive. Number 13. Baby lemon shark. I don't know if I had ever heard of a lemon shark before this video, but they're weirdly kinda cute. At least the juvenile baby ones are. I'm not sure I've ever seen a fully grown adult shark I would describe as cute. This guy chose to spend his free time sitting in the water for hours, waiting patiently for the baby lemon sharks to come and interact with them. Everybody has their hobbies, I guess. Eventually, one did just that. Of course, the guy had to be careful. Even the slightest movement would scare the sharks off. After circling for a while, they began to come closer, nudging and headbutting, and on occasion biting him, and yet the guy just let it happen and continued on. Regardless, gotta admire the guy for courage, I guess. According to him, he just wants to study the lemon sharks to get to know and understand them more clearly. Well, if getting bitten by a shark helps you understand them, then more power to you, I guess. I'll just sit here, eat my Oreos, record a few videos, and, you know, the usual, not getting bitten by sharks. Number 12. Caddy shark. Golfing is usually a pretty harmless, pretty boring sport. You walk around, hit a few balls now and then, drive around in a big golf cart, but that's about it. Well, in Australia, they have it a little more dangerous because, duh, it's Australia. It probably wouldn't be surprising if even the golf clubs wanted to kill ya. Many years ago, a river in Brisbane broke its banks, flooding the Carbrook Golf Club. In the process, it stranded a whole lot of bull sharks at the club, one of the most dangerous species known to man. When the water eventually receded, the sharks made their new home in the club, even breeding to produce new baby man-eaters. Today, people come from far and wide to see the sharks up close, making this a pretty positive side effect for the club. Of course, the owner will toss in some meat to try and encourage the sharks to come to the surface every now and then. I guess allowing them to eat all of the golf balls that get shot into the water probably isn't too healthy, right? A balanced diet is very important, even in the case of man-eating sharks. Number 11. Shark Dive Aquarium. Some people have an unbelievable amount of courage, or they have a shocking lack of brain cells, maybe both. Anyway, these kinds of people tend to be drawn to attractions that would make most of us say, "What the hell are you doing?" And on that note, welcome to Dubai. Here at the Dubai Mall, the brave and stupid among you can dive with actual sharks. Huge, huge sharks, that is. This video shows one guy getting the shock of his life during his very first dive. This is completely unedited footage, and that shark is a very deep. His teeth are a little mangled, and he's honestly a pretty scary dude to look at, and yet these guys manage to stay completely calm, even as the shark stays just inches from their faces. I don't know how the hell they did it. If ever they were to do a Jaws remake, it kinda seems like this is a perfect sequence waiting to happen. A diver and a tank of sharks just sniffing around them. Luckily, these guys showed the shark a lot of respect, and that's how they made it out alive. But hell, those wetsuits must have absolutely stunk. Number 10. Hawaii Great White. Hawaii is known for its natural beauty and stunning vistas, but it should probably also be known for its sharks because, yeah, like many coastal areas of the United States, Hawaii is home to many different species of shark, including the most feared and famous of all, the great white. While diving off the coast of Honolulu, underwater photographer Daron Verbeek thought he saw a school of alua. When he went to get a closer look at these fascinating animals, he got quite a shock. The size and shape was not at all like any kind of alua he had ever seen. At first, he thought it must be some kind of tiger shark, but as it got closer and closer, the guy began to realize he wasn't looking at a tiger shark at all. He was looking at a giant great white instead. According to Darren, the shark was well over 15 feet long, making it a pretty terrifying animal to encounter anywhere. But luckily for him, the shark was not behaving in any kind of a threatening way, so he decided he would stick around a little to see what happened. Well, thank goodness he did. Behaving in any. According to Darren, the shark was well over 15 feet long, making it a pretty terrifying animal to encounter anywhere. But luckily for him, the shark was not behaving in any kind of a threatening way, so he decided he would stick around a little to see what happened. Well, thank goodness he did, otherwise we might not have had this great footage. Number 9. Myrtle Beach. How would you expect an 11-year-old to react if they happened to notice a shark heading their way? Obviously, they're probably not gonna hang around and try to pet it. They probably know by that age that sharks are terrifying predators of the ocean. Well, according to this video, they react the same way everybody else would. They scream and run. Same, honestly. This video was captured by the girl's mother at North Myrtle Beach in South Carolina. She was watching her 11-year-old having a great beach day when suddenly everything changed. As you can see in the footage, a black shark was getting pretty dang close to the girl, and she was aware of it. As soon as she spotted the shark inching closer, the girl gets up and runs from the water back toward the safety of her mom. Apparently, this isn't exactly a rare occurrence at Myrtle Beach. One lifeguard at the beach has gone on the record to say that sharks are often present in the waters, but that it's nothing to really be concerned about. As yet, there haven't been any serious incidents or shark attacks. For the most part, it seems, sharks just don't mind humans too much. Number 8. Second thoughts. Would you ever have the confidence to dive into shark-infested waters? Let me rephrase the question. If you knew that there was some kind of shark in the water, would you dive in to swim alongside it? I'm guessing the answer for most people would be a no. Not this guy. This guy thought he had spotted a basking shark swimming close to their boat, so naturally he thought it would be fun to dive right in and swim alongside it. Okay, sure, basking sharks aren't exactly known to be man-eaters. I guess Well, what happened next? The guy regretted his last few life choices. That's what happened. After jumping in, the guy starts swimming back to the boat. Turns out that he may have misjudged the whole thing. In the water, he begins thinking it's not a basking shark at all. He's looking at a great white. When he finally got back on the boat, the pair took a closer look at the shark in the water. They found that it was in fact a basking shark. But still, if you're gonna dive into shark-infested waters, you might want to be somewhat aware of what kind of shark you're gonna be swimming with. It's not like they carry ID cards. Well, maybe they carry their victims' IDs. Number 7. Kauai Shark Encounter. For many people, spearfishing is a great pastime. You get to spend some time outdoors, you get to catch some fish, and you get to maintain a centuries-old tradition. But every now and then, you can have a more unique experience, like for instance when you're spearfishing in shark-infested waters. 16-year-old Cannon Allen had gone out to the waters of Kauai, Hawaii, with his mom to try and catch an uhu. 40 feet in, Cannon happened to notice a shark passing by. However, it's not the first time that Cannon has ever seen a shark. In fact, it's a pretty common occurrence. However, this time was different. Usually the sharks just move along and leave them alone, but this guy had followed them the entire time. Since it was low tide, Cannon had to walk over a dry reef to get to shore, but even that didn't seem to stop this shark. The shark actually followed him onto land and only bailed when he realized that he could not survive out of the water. So for all those people who saw Jaws as nothing more than a misleading horror movie, I point you to the story of Cannon Allen, a young boy who actually got stalked by a shark onto dry land. Number 6. Face-to-face shark encounter. As we mentioned earlier, one of the most important things to remember about sharks is they value stealth. If you maintain eye contact with them and refuse to turn your back on them, they likely won't attack you. Here's a good example. David Schurer was spearfishing in waters off the Outer Banks in North Carolina. There, beneath the surface, he happened to spot a great white shark. The whole encounter is honestly pretty terrifying. So terrifying that even the guy's spear gun seems like it can't really help him. As the shark sniffs around and gets close, the guy firmly remains locked onto the shark. Sensing that any opportunity for a stealth attack has been destroyed, the shark swims away, leaving the guy to live for another day. Honestly, it's almost a given that if this diver hadn't been paying attention, or somehow didn't notice the shark, things would have taken a very different and very nasty turn. Sharks will take any and all opportunities they get to attack a living thing when they're not looking. If they happen to be sitting ducks, they're really just perfect victims. There's the lesson, kids. Don't take your eyes off the sharks. Number 5. Boat attack. Just imagine the scene for a second. You take your 10-year-old out on a boat hoping to give your son his very first experience on the water, and then you happen to encounter a shark out in the water. And to make matters worse, the shark is angry. Good lord, it's like your worst nightmare. Now obviously some parents are going to handle that situation better than others, but in the case of this video, the father handled it very poorly. Concerned that his child was in danger, the father desperately tried to keep his kid calm and relaxed throughout. The only problem was that the kid was already super calm and managing the situation perfectly. In case you can't tell, the kid is the one holding the camera, and as you can see, he did a pretty dang great job. Experiences like this don't just come along too often, so it's always nice when a father and son get to share a moment that they will remember forever. The fact that nobody got hurt is obviously a bonus, although I'll be honest, if I was that kid, I'd probably snap at some point. Stop micromanaging me, Dad! Number 4. Canoe attacked repeatedly. Great whites are the most famous sharks in the world, but they're far from the most dangerous. In fact, the sharks you should really be concerned about are bull sharks. These things are relentless, terrifying beasts of the ocean.
Watch out!
As you're about to find out. In 2015, these two canoes were out fishing on the water when they became the unfortunate victims of a very angry bull shark. One of the fishermen had caught what he thought was a pretty great fish, but as it turned out, it was not a fish, it was the angry shark. And after a short period of thrashing around and desperate efforts to get unhooked, the shark had enough and began lashing out at the cruel canoes that were causing him so much misery. Amidst the chaos, the canoes were almost turned over. The fishermen and passengers were almost thrown into the water. As if you didn't need more reasons to fear bull sharks, these things are the true terminators of the shark world. Great whites generally tend to leave humans alone, but bull sharks, these things will take any and all opportunities to cause the maximum amount of damage to any living thing. Definitely not our friends. Number 3. Leaping great white. We've all been there. You're hungry, you're tired, and you want to eat so badly that you'll pretty much jump to eat anything. Welcome to the world of the shark. These guys don't eat as regularly as we humans. They may wait days for a meal, which explains why they're so ready and eager to jump for their food. This video shows a guy on a boat demonstrating just how dangerous sharks can be if they believe there's something worth eating. As a great white circles their boat, the guy tosses out a little bait. The shark sniffs around a little as if gauging whether or not this thing is even worth trying to eat. But when the bait pulls away and the bait goes in, the shark realizes it's now or never and leaps out of the water to try and chomp on the bait. This pretty clearly demonstrates the power of the shark, but it's also a great reminder of why panicking in the water is a bad idea. Like bulls, sharks are attracted to movement. If you start flailing around and trying to escape, obviously the shark is going to come after you. They would be foolish not to. Number 2. Great white paddleboard. It's often been said that the great white shark is simply misunderstood. According to experts, the great white truly has no interest in attacking a human unless they've mistaken the human for a shark's natural prey. Chris Follows wanted to prove that. Follows decided that the best way to prove his theory was to get on a paddleboard in the ocean and see what happened. Of course, I imagine Follows missed the part where sharks have, on record, mistaken paddleboards for seals, but hey, that's his call. Follows decided he would paddle alongside the shark, gently agitating the water to see if the shark would, at any point, attack. True to his word, the shark never actually did try to attack him, but then it's entirely possible that the shark just thought the guy was so stupid that he would eventually dive in. I'm not sure any of us would be surprised by that. It goes without saying that Follows' claims have not been backed up by official research. And, as mentioned, sharks have mistaken paddleboards for seals and attacked before. That said, if you do find yourself faced with a shark, the best thing you can do is not panic, but I guess that's like telling yourself not to be hungry at an all-you-can-eat buffet. Number 1. Great white surprise. Even the foremost shark experts are not immune to a little bit of fear and shock now and then. As it turns out, sharks seem to have a great sense of humor, or more realistically, they just really want to eat us now and then. These guys are part of the Atlantic White Shark Conservancy, doing some field work off the coast of Wellfleet, Massachusetts.
Whoa! Holy crap!
It was all going just swimmingly, pun intended, until this next moment. Wait for it. Yeah, this shark decided that he wanted to give these guys a little fright, just to make sure they were awake and alert, obviously. In case you didn't see it, the shark leaps up out of the water and goes to bite the guy standing on the bow, but luckily for him, there's a metal grate separating him and the jaws of the shark. Pretty close call, eh? These guys have been doing this for years, so for them to be as startled and scared as anybody else would be, it says a lot. This dude would have been fish food if it had not been for that metal grate. It's time to remind ourselves, sharks are incredibly smart and terrifying animals. That's
So that was 20 shark encounter caught on tape. Wasn't that bad. Everybody escaped unarmed, so wasn't that bad. Until next time, subscribe to this channel. Hit the notification bell to get notified when I post another video. And most definitely drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this video. And smash that like button. Until next time, I'm out of here.